crafty friends, Shana from ShanoukiArt. I'm back with my big fat pink journal. Today we're going to be making some hidden paper clips. And look, they can hold things like tags, notes, envelopes, ephemera, all different goodies, and are a super fun addition for your journal. And the best part, they're really easy to make. I'm going to make 4 different ones to show you the different ways and varieties that you can make, but of course the options are endless. What a super cute way to add interest to your pages. And these are actually great for a mass make. So to get started, we'll first of all need some paper clips, just simple paper clips. I have 4 that I'm going to be using. I have 2 of the regular size and 2 of the slightly larger size. And then you need some papers to decorate your hidden paper clips. Do you recognize this piece? This is from the master board I created as part of this series. That's the last piece I have left. This is a clothing tag, and I'm going to show you how to use this too. Gather a few papers and cardstock that you have used already in your journal so we can have that continuity I often talk about. You can also use old packaging. I find the best paper for these hidden paper clips is something a little bit more sturdy, like a scrapbook paper or a printed cardstock. But of course, use what you have. I'm going to start with this green spotty paper. You basically need a rectangle that's folded in half that is a little bit longer than the length of your paper clip. I'm just tearing this down to size. And then I'm going to use my corner rounder to round all the corners. This of course is optional. I haven't measured anything, but roughly this measures just over 6 inches by roughly 2 inches. But you can make it as wide or as long as you want, as long as it's bigger than the paper clip. To suit the style of my journal, I'm going to rough up those edges. I want it to look used and worn. I'm using an open scissors to rough that up. I think this works best with a scrapbook paper or a cardstock that's slightly thicker. I also make a few little tears. I want it to look like it's been handled over many years. I'm also going to use some distress ink, just a little bit on some of the edges. This helps to enhance all that roughness and tearing. Once that base piece is prepared, we're now going to cut a smaller piece that's going to go over the paper clip. So it's going to be thinner and shorter than that base piece. So I've got the width here, but I made an oopsie. You can see I just stopped here when I realized I've actually cut it too short. I need that to be double the length. So I'm just remeasuring again, and I'm going to cut a strip which is going to be folded in half, and it's going to go in the center part of that green spotty piece, which is going to cover the paper clip. Rounding these edges too to match. And you can see how that fits over the piece, covering that paper clip, so it's hidden. And now we're going to stick that down. I'm going to use a clear craft glue. That's the base. It's 2 pieces of cardstock and a paper clip. And then you can decorate it any way you like. I'm going to use this washi tape flower. I've used this rose somewhere else in the journal. I'm just going to stick it sort of coming off, and I'm going to trim off the excess and then stick that excess on the back. Now, if you don't have a scrapbook paper or a cardstock and you only have thin paper to use, that'll work fine too. We're going to cover this clothing tag with the paper that we have to make it more sturdy. I'm going to use a piece of the Printable that I've used in my journal, and I'm going to stick that down with Mod Podge. So I'm going to cover the whole area of the clothing tag first with Mod Podge, and then I'm going to stick it onto the paper. This is a great way to use up some junk. So I'm just going to stick that down and press it down firmly and then trim off the excess. It doesn't matter what's going on in the underside, that's going to be closed. You're never going to open it, so you won't see any of that print. We're going to place the paper clip and then we're going to cover the paper clip. This time I'm going to use a piece of fabric. I have a piece of calico. I'm just going to tear a piece and then I'm going to stick that down again with Mod Podge, covering that paper clip. I'm going to leave the frayed edges and the threads. I like that look, but you can always neaten it off or cut it straight if you prefer. And then I've collected a few little pieces, some die cuts and some of my vintage tape. I'm going to stick some of that down, remembering to decorate both sides because it's going to be visible from both sides when you turn the page. I thought some of the tape would look good here, but it didn't, so I took it off. I'm going to go with a couple of die cut flowers for this one. This is great if you have lots of little bits sort of on your desk that you've collected that are sort of offcuts from other projects that you might not use. Just pop them onto these to decorate them. I honestly don't like throwing anything away. I do tend to hoard a bit and then I do try to use it in projects like this. I'm now going to work with one of the small paper clips. I'm going to use a piece of this vintage style script paper. I found this first piece a little too short and wide. I want something a little bit longer. I'm just going to tear another piece. For this one, I'm going to put that piece of masterboard on. It was my last little piece that was left over. If you remember in one of the first episodes, we created the masterboard. I'm going to just put that over. I love that it has those bold numbers on. For the last one, again, I'm going to use a small paper clip. The paper I'm going to use for this one is white with a pink floral. I wanted something a little lighter and I like to create variety. As you can see, I'm not measuring anything. I'm just cutting the rectangles, folding them in half. It really is quick and easy. For the top piece, I'm going to use a piece of this paper. It's from a diary and I love that spiral end. I think it creates beautiful texture. And there's a pink and white strap, which suits my theme. And for this one, I'm simply going to just add this die cut, which has got words on it. It's quite long and it's longer than my base piece, but I like it sticking off the ends. And then for some additional texture, I'm adding a piece of white thread all scrumpled up underneath. And then for the other side, I have a leaf die cut. It's nice and big. It fits across the whole area. I'm going to stick that down on the back. As a final touch on that small one, I'm going to add a piece of Hessian string. I'm just going to loop it around my fingers 3 times to create these loops, and then I'm going to staple it into place in the corner. These hidden paper clips are super easy to attach to your pages. You simply slip them on. You can leave them on the page just as is for decoration, or you can add things underneath like notes or papers or ephemera. I think they're a great addition. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. I really hope you enjoyed it and were inspired to create your own hidden paper clips. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the little bell so you're notified every time I upload new content. My Big Fat Pink Journal series is every Tuesday here on my channel. Thanks again for watching, happy creating, and I'll see you again soon. Bye!